All right, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Glaive Kyo, once again, is back at it with another video on, of course, you guessed it, Genshin Impact. And so the topic of discussion for today is merely mentioning all of the various features that everybody in the Hoyoverse community has rallied around and has begged for years. Literally years. It's been almost 5 years since Genshin Impact has released. And there's been so many requests that have been made since version 1.0 of the game. Reasonable requests, right? That would just improve it as a whole. That would create so much more desire across all these players to continue playing. And for some reason, some godforsaken reason, despite so many features being added into their later releases like Honkai Star Rail or ZZZ, these devs just won't fix their game. And so with that, I'm excited to see all of the different topics that he's going to cover because there are so many jam-packed into this 12-minute video that my head and yours might start spinning. So with that, let's go ahead, let's get right on into it and see what the number 2 Kurobot has in store for us today. Take it away, Mr. Glaive.
Are you watching Genshin-kun? Wuthering Waves on Nichan is showing me a good time. Alright, so Genshin Impact put out a survey a few weeks ago, and
This survey has some of the fixes.
I figured, hey, maybe they actually want feedback for once. Now, I'm not saying I expect Hoyoverse to actually listen, because let's be real, this is the same company that took 3 years to add a second claim all button. Players had been requesting a simple claim all button for Expedition since launch. But
to be fair, WUWA has a lot of places where it does need a claim all button. I just actually think there hasn't been enough feedback given to the WUWA team to actually incorporate it. One page in particular that needs the claim all button is your fucking achievements. I actually forgot that achievements existed throughout the entirety of the 2.0 and the 2.1 update, and then I proceeded to spend at least 5 minutes on stream just clicking the individual claim button for every achievement. It actually took so long that it got ridiculous. They need it in a lot of different places. 1,000,000%. Maybe we need to compile a goddamn list.
claim all button for Expedition since launch. But it took Hoyoverse until version 3.2, 3 years later, to finally implement it. But hey, since they're asking so nicely to me, and Brand Online did say that we finally have the opportunity to make meaningful changes, I'm going to straight up give it to them. I used to be a proud Hoyo shill myself, but after watching Wuthering Waves come out swinging with actual quality of life features, watching Zenless Zone Zero do so much better, watching Honkai Star Rail going back on their predatory practices,
Brother, man. With the way that the Hoyo games are going, especially the whole absolutely absurd Castoricey situation, I am so goddamn pessimistic about ZZZ that... Oh, man. I'm scared of what's going to happen to the game.
and all of this stuff that Genshin still refuses to implement. I had to face the truth. Genshin could be better. It should be better. But right now, it is coasting. And if Hoyoverse thinks that they can sit back and do nothing while other games innovate, they've got another thing coming. So dear Hoyoverse, if you're listening, and you should be, let's talk about the absolute bare minimum fixes that should have been in the game years ago. Look, I get it. Game development is hard. But these aren't massive world-altering changes. These are basic fundamental features that literally every other modern gacha game has figured out. If Zenless Zone Zero, a game made by the same company, has some of these fixes, then what's Genshin's excuse? First,
that's the thing that I feel like so many players focus on, and they should just keep bringing it up. Why does Genshin still have all of these archaic, outdated systems, like weekly boss mats only being challengeable once, but you having 3 available a week? Talent materials, level up materials being locked to specific days of the week as well? Why are all of these archaic systems still there, despite them not existing in the other games? I think that part alone is just kind of baffling to me. You have a same product under your corporate umbrella of Hoyo, and you're literally just like implicitly shitting on one of your own products. You're giving players of HSR or ZZZ ammunition to basically shit on Genshin Impact, the main game, because you're giving those other games all of the features that Genshin should have. All it literally does, in my opinion, is like just incite animosity between your own game communities, which is just absolutely absurd. And I think the other part about it, and he's about to get into it, right? ZZZ having a skip button for its dialogue and its story when the 2 other games don't. It's just like, you're just giving all of these different games opportunities to point out the flaws of each other and like not actually focus on the game itself. Because the problems that are being fixed are big ones, and they're annoying problems for players to have.
First of all is the skip button for dialogues. The year is 2025, and Genshin still doesn't have a skip button for a dialogue. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Visual novels let you skip dialogue, and their entire gameplay loop is a dialogue. Every player wants this. The only people against it are those who haven't suffered through an NPC monologue about how Timmy's pigeons actually symbolize Mondstadt's fragile economy. Oh,
Honestly, maybe not having the skip button isn't so bad. Because I would never know that. Because I don't give a fuck and I'm not paying attention while reading. But maybe there are just some people like Glaive that, you know, because they're forced into like the bondage of reading dialogue that they don't want to read, they actually do end up retaining something, right? Totally. Yeah, totally. I guess this is the thing, right? Even the skip button that they have in ZZZ is also a little bit weird, where ZZZ lets you skip the voiced dialogues, which are like the most high quality part of the story. But then they don't let you skip like the event dialogue, like the unvoiced, like actual like spam that you will get sometimes. And it's like this weird mix of like ZZZ having parts of a skip button and then not having it in other places. And at the end of the day, it's just like a really not 100% implementation either. And so it does feel like there's like compromises being made, when in reality, when it comes to the skip button, it's honestly just a test for the devs. It's a test for the story writers. It's a test for like the director, where if you have a skip button and your story is actually good, your storytelling is actually good, and it's a nice experience, people are just not going to skip your story. They're going to experience the entire thing as a whole because it's engaging and they enjoy it. They're doing something and they're not skipping because they're enjoying it. But when you don't have a skip button, who cares how good the story is? Who cares? Because people are going to have to watch it anyways. And when you don't have a skip button, you don't have that level of like quality control where the consumer can decide to just not consume garbage. You end up with stuff like Honkai Star Rail 3.0, Honkai Star Rail 2.6, basically every Genshin world quest, all the side quests as well. And it just causes so much frustration in the community. It's absolutely absurd because you're making people do things they don't want to do, that they don't find value in, and are essentially forcing them to experience it. And nobody likes that, especially in a game. A game, something you are trying to do with your leisure time. You want every single moment when you're playing a game to like actually like feel good in some way. And boy, oh boy, Genshin story moments and HSR story moments have to be some of the lowest quality experiences in gacha gaming. 1,000,000%.
fragile economy. Oh wait, it's not even that important. So why can't I skip it? Zenless Zone Zero has it. HSR says that they're gonna add it. Wuthering Waves has it. Oh, and actually, Wuwa even goes a step further by providing a story summary when you skip, so you
Crazy, wouldn't it be? Crazy.
never actually miss important details. Here's the kicker: if a game adds a skip button and everyone skips the same scenes, maybe that's a sign that the writing isn't as engaging as they think. Wild concept, I know.
And that's the thing. It literally provides them real-time feedback of what cutscenes, what characters, what moments are just simply not that interesting and not that engaging, so that the devs know how to improve the game and not fuck up again in the future. But this is the thing, guys. It's pretty clear why Kuro has the skip button and why they're able to like actually take that feedback and do meaningful things with it. Hoyoverse just doesn't want feedback in the first place. They just don't want feedback or any negative critique at all. They just want people to believe that their implementation and what they've done is absolutely perfect, and they don't want people complaining about it. That's why they're doing things like censoring the Honkai Star Rail subreddit of any critiques about the fucking game and the critiques of the biggest issues within HSR. That's why they're doing that. They just don't want to hear the critiques. They just want to see you roll over and enjoy the toys that they're throwing at you, even if the toys are like actually filled with shit.
That acts as a mini survey, you know, a mini information giver to the company to judge whether a story is
True.
actually good or not. If it's good, then they'll do more of it. If it's not good, if it's bad, if a lot of people skip it, then maybe they should tone back on it. And before
True.
anyone says, but the story is important, you don't understand the lore. Mavuika is not just a motorcycle rider, she's actually a depressed Archon. Like, yes, of course. But forcing people to sit through slow, unskippable dialogue doesn't make them care more about the story. It just makes them resent it. A skip button forces devs to actually write better narratives. Because now, if people skip, it's on them. It's not forced on engagement. And then we got the Catherine tab for remote daily commissions. I mean, let's talk about the dailies, right? The thing that you do every day if you want Primo Gems. And after that, you still have to manually run to Catherine to claim your rewards.
I completely forgot this shit's in the game. I actually forgot this shit is in the game. Oh, gotta make sure I teleport over to Catherine real fast. Otherwise, nobody will know I did my commissions. Even though I went out and fucking did them. Oh, man. Yeah, this is actually... Yeah, this is just a point... This is just a point of friction, right? Why not just be able to do both of these in a menu? Or honestly, use like some sort of instant messaging feature. I don't know, like communicate with the Adventurers Guild magically. Surely there's enough magic in the world of Genshin Impact where you're like able to send like a I don't know, like a fucking sorcerer, like some sorcery text over to Catherine, and like you just fucking you finish the job. Like surely they're advanced enough somewhere to be able to do that. But no, you gotta walk your fucking ass over and talk to her every single day. I actually and to do your expeditions, I actually forgot how annoying I haven't played in a while. Yeah, that's just evidence I haven't played in a while.
Catherine, to claim your rewards. Why? What is this weird obsession with making players teleport just to talk to an NPC? You already know we did the commissions. Just give us the rewards. ZZZ, HSR, and WUWA lets you claim your dailies directly from the menu.
True.
No extra steps, no waste of time. And no,
True.
This isn't about being lazy. It's about respecting players' time. If your game demands daily engagement, then the least you can do as a company is not make it feel like it's a chore. The access to bypass 4-star event weapons. Now this one actually blows my mind. In Genshin Impact, event exclusive 4-star weapons. If you miss them, they're gone forever, never to return. Just like your dad, just like your ex-girlfriend, just like your money. You can literally never attain them again, which
That was suspiciously specific. Oh boy, Glaive. Oh brother man. Oh brother man, that's a rough time, buddy. My condolences.
attain them again, which makes no sense because they're not even 5-star limited weapons. Honkai Star Rail lets you bypass event weapons with in-game currency, but Genshin, if you didn't get the weapon during its event, you're out of luck. Hope you weren't building a character 3 years late. And it's the fact that the 4-star event weapons are actually meta in the future, like the Festering Desire, for example. And it's not like Hoyoverse can't fix this. They could
I love how Festering Desire is like actually like Farina's best in slot, her best non-5-star weapon. And like you had to have been playing in like 1 point something to even use it. Like, oh, you didn't play during the first 2 patches of the game? Well, you can just go fuck yourself. Like what?
could easily add past 4-star event weapons to Paimon's bargains instead of whatever Black Cliff sword or claymore or whatever that is nobody's buying. But no logic, just FOMO. Again, these aren't radical changes. They're not controversial. They're just basic industry standards at this point. We have
To be fair, I think Wuthering Waves doesn't necessarily have enough like event 4-star weapons to integrate this just yet. I am hoping though that once WuWa gets to like maybe 3 or 4 or maybe even like 5 event weapons, like they start giving alternative options to claim them, because I think it would be weird to start for other methods to get 4-star event weapons when we only have 2 of them and one of them is active right now. So I think that's something that's going to come to WuWa with more time. Same with the Phantom Echo skins. Maybe it's like some sort of like, maybe they're claimable from like, I don't know. They'll probably find some way to like use the resources. I think the best implementation might be to like use the end game modes, like coins from like the TOA, like the coins from like the TOA that you get, like the hazard records. Maybe using those to claim some of the 4-star weapons or the older Phantom Echo skins, something like that. But I would say simply due to the lack of 4-star weapons in WuWa, I don't really see this as a huge concern right now, but once we get to like 5, I want to see some ways to get the old ones. Or 4, somewhere around that number.
at this point. We have the artifact loadouts. Why is this not a thing? We have around 95 characters, 54 artifact sets, and absolutely 0 way to save builds. And between those artifact sets, maybe you want to use a 2-piece something, you know? It's not always a 4-piece. Swapping artifacts around is miserably slow. You want to experiment with different teams? Better set aside 10 minutes just to re-equip the right pieces. And sometimes there's like hyper-specific pieces for some characters. For example, for Shangli, you want a high energy recharge and high crit, and then you gotta look through every single timepiece that you have. Bro, it's so bad. Wuthering Waves lets you save and swap entire builds instantly.
And they give you fucking 20. I'm gonna be honest. I like to think that I'm somebody that like at least likes to fucking optimize my characters and my roster. I have every single character in the game and I still haven't used half of my Echo loadout slots. I'm gonna be honest, you don't even need that many to streamline the experience so much. And the devs' unwillingness to add this to the game just to like make the experience, especially in endgame content, way more smooth is just baffling to me, because it's not like your casual audience is going to like freak out over this. It's honestly just your most like dedicated players who are probably paying the most if they're super hardcore, going in and just wanting to like optimize their builds, have a bunch of different loadouts, like experiment with different things. And it's just so odd to me that this is nothing that the devs are even planning on doing, and that Wuwa, a game that released 4 years after Genshin, is doing it first.
It's so bad. Wuthering Waves lets you save and swap entire builds instantly, all at the press of a button. Genshin players have been begging for this for a long time, for years. And Hoyo versus response? We hear you. Yes, they added a function to sort artifacts by background color. What? At this point, it's like they want you to hate build crafting. No wonder people just get lazy at building. They just slap 2-piece gladiators with 2-piece elemental damage bonus or something. It doesn't make sense. And then we got the portable crafting bench. Oh wait, I misspoke. We don't have that. Why do I need to teleport for this? Dude, imagine you log in, you open your inventory, realize that you're out of condensed resin. No big deal, right? Wrong. Because now you have to teleport to a city, wait through a loading screen, run over to the crafting bench, manually craft your items, and then teleport back to whatever you're actually trying to do. Like literally you have to go out of a domain, teleport out, and then go back, teleport there, and then you gotta go back into the domain and farm it. It's just such a hassle. And
yeah, people talk about the condensed resin a lot. This is my question, right? Why does the condensed resin need a new fucking material? Like, why does it even need those goddamn butterfly remains for you to just craft it? It is so annoying when you don't have enough of those like butterfly fragments and you have to go farm the crystal flies, and it's like the things run away. They run away. You get close to them and they'll disappear. It's actually designed to annoy you at this point.
Domain and farm it, it's just such a hassle. And some players have long loading times, making this process even more painful. It's not like Wuthering Waves where most people are playing on PC anyway, I think. Genshin players actually play on their phones sometimes. HSR and Wu will let you craft straight from the menu because they respect your time. And Genshin is still pretending that teleporting back and forth is essential gameplay mechanic. This is a solvable problem. You know
they
how
do
we
with
have the
Catherine.
portable waypoint? Just give us a portable crafting bench. Or better yet, just put a crafting tab in the menu. The fact that we're still forced to detour to make basic materials is insane. And then let's talk about the daily respawn of overworld Ascension mats. Why are we still waiting 48 hours? Leveling up a new character in Genshin? Hope you enjoy waiting, because overworld Ascension mats in Genshin, like the flowers and stuff, they only respawn every 48 hours. This forces you to either wait 2 days just to continue farming or awkwardly beg for another player's world. Praying.
And I think this is the craziest thing about Wuwa. Wuwa requires so few overworld Ascension mats. You can actually, I feel like for 90% of the roster, you can just get it in like a day. There are some overworld Ascension mats that are so plentiful, you just pick up everything you can in a day and you will have it. That's what I've noticed in 2.0. There are actually like so many of like Carlotta's flowers, and then like Rosia's Ascension mats, and then Phoebe's. Yeah, the Firecracker Jewel weed. That shit is so plentiful that I was able to just pick all of it up in one day. I didn't even have to worry about it. And then they have the way that they mark the resources on the map too. You just say, hey, I want more of these. I just want more of these. And then boom, you're done. It's so fast, it's ridiculous. Low key, I'm like wondering, do they even need to be in the game at all at this point if they're so easy to get? Because I see Genshin using their character Ascension as a way to like drive more playtime. And like, yeah, Wuwa has a way like smaller version of it, but it's almost like so little in Wuwa at this point. It almost feels like an afterthought. So at this point, it's just like, do we just remove the Ascension mats from the characters? Because like, it's so easy to get in Wuwa. It's just like, I begin wondering why it's even there sometimes.
To God that they are not building the new character or the rerun character you just pulled. Wuthering Waves resets these daily, making farming consistent and flexible. There is just no reason to have 48-hour timer on something so essential to progression. It's just artificial scarcity. This outdated system actively discourages people from building new characters. Why?
There's one character in particular that was an absolute fucking nightmare to raise. If you guys know who Wanderer is, his Ascension material is this stupid fucking mushroom that like only grows like in the most like vertically challenged area in Sumeru, where it's like all of these like fucking like gigantic mushrooms that are just like this fucking skinny, and they're like 500 meters into the fucking sky, and like you have to like jump from mushroom to mushroom and like glide and shit. And then you peek inside the mushroom and there's like one drop. It's like actually one drop. It's fucking insane. It's like the Roca Devata mushroom or something. Actually a nightmare. And it takes like 3 days of farming it just to level him up. Oh my gosh. It is designed to be a pain in the fucking ass. 1,000,000%. Then you got the scarabs, right? You got Ryothsley's metal scarabs, and you got Cyno's actual fucking scarabs. Oh boy, it's just the devs telling you to go fuck yourself if you want to play the newest character.
Just people from building new characters. Why is a game that thrives on character variety making it harder to level up those characters? It just doesn't make sense. But let's talk about the real thing. Genshin's resin system isn't really a problem. It's not great, but it's manageable. The real nightmare is the drop system, the farming system. If you've ever spent weeks farming for a single good artifact, congratulations. You now understand psychological torment. Other gacha games are moving forward. Genshin, it's still making you pray for unusable stats like it's a slot machine rigged against you. So it should be a good idea to add in a double artifact drop event. Why is this not a thing? Farming artifacts in Genshin is like playing the lottery, except instead of money, you win disappointment. You finally get the right set, but the wrong piece. You finally get the right piece, but the wrong main stat. You finally get the right main stat. All of the substat roll into flat defense. And then after weeks of this, your reward is an artifact that makes you question your entire life.
A lot of people like to bag on the ecosystem, but the fact of the matter is, holy shit. If you're able to farm the main stat you want infinitely, let's be honest, guys. Getting a main stat in Genshin Impact can take you actually months. Simply getting the main stat can take you months, and then the main stat that you get has to have the right subs right off the bat for it to even be rollable. You have the capability to spend literal days, with Resin being the only way for you to get the artifacts in the first place, spend a whole week, and then just actually not have anything.
You question your entire life. Meanwhile, other gacha games, they still have this really bad upgrading system, sure, but they're out here handing out double drop events like candy. Honkai Star Rail, HSR, ZZZ, and WUA all have them. I don't know about the others, but it's literally a scheduled event for WUA. Genshin already does the double ley line and the talent book events, so why not artifacts? The system is already in place, they just won't use it. It's baffling. The worst part of artifact farming isn't even the RNG, it's the fact that they could make it better but choose not to. And it's all—
I guess Genshin has actually never had double artifacts before. I swear they've— Am I just remembering wrong? Genshin has actually never had a double artifact event? I swear they do. No, it's never happened. Only for returning players. All right. Well, I was under the impression that Genshin did. If they haven't, then oh boy. Oh boy. That's yeah, that's a little annoying.
It's the fact that they could make it better but choose not to. And it's also a good thing to add in a Resin reserve overflow system. Stop punishing players for having lives. Let's talk about Resin. More specifically, the completely unnecessary stress of hitting the cap. In Genshin, if your Resin maxes out, you start losing potential resources.
I feel like the fact that Genshin does not have an overflow resin system is actually just one of the most confusing things about the genre, because it to me is like one of like the biggest barriers to somebody coming back to the game. 1,000,000%, right? Like you log off, you like quit Genshin, and then you come back in and you're just at 200. Like what? Like, what are you're not gonna be able to fucking do anything when you log in, so you're just gonna be like, all right, I'll just get the fuck right back out. Fuck this game. Like, you come back to HSR or you come back to ZZZ, and you can just, like, actually play the game and progress for, like, maybe 10 hours, right? Maybe more, maybe a little bit less, depending on how fast you farm. But if you, like, quit the game, you get to come back and, like, go on, like, a binge and actually make meaningful progress on your count, like actually level up characters, do things. But you come back in Genshin Impact, and it's literally like the devs are just telling you to go fuck yourself. Just leave again. There's so little incentive to like stay without any of the extra stamina. And sure, right, when it comes to Wuthering Waves, I think you can say that having only 480 reserved wave plates isn't really that much. I think that they could do with like a cap increase on that, but it's also fair to say that Wuthering Waves is like a newer game too, and maybe it doesn't need a cap that high. And so I hope to see it increase to maybe like 1,000 plus in the future. Maybe they've like seen the 480 system right now, and it's like enough of an incentive, right, to balance people playing and then people putting off the game for too long. You could say from like a pessimistic point of view that having like a shit ton of reserved wave plates can incentivize you to take a long break from the game. That's what I think. I think that potentially there's that downside of having, if you were to have like 2,000 reserved wave plates, it might like incentivize you to just like not play for a while and then come back and then just like do all of it. So maybe the devs don't want to do it for that reason. Who knows?
maxes out, you start losing potential resources unless you log in immediately. Other games, they convert excess resin to a reserve that can be used later. This system already exists in ZZZ, HSR, and WUA. Again, it respects players' time instead of forcing them to log in just to avoid waste. Genshin's current system is outdated. It assumes players have nothing better to do than micromanage their resin before it overflows. Other games understand that people have lives. Genshin still acts like you should schedule your entire day around resource management. And look, if there's one thing Genshin consistently fails at, it's respecting players' time. And nowhere is that more obvious than with weekly bosses. Every week you get a nice little chore list. Go kill 3 separate bosses, burn resin, and pray the that way that the game gives you the materials you need instead of random junk. This system is outdated, unnecessarily restrictive, and compared to literally every other Hoyoverse game, completely behind the times. Let us fight the same boss 3 times. It's not that hard. Right now, if you need materials from one specific boss, too bad. You have to fight 3 different ones just to get your weekly rewards.
True. And this means per week for a character, you're allowed to level up their skills 3 times. So I think it takes you at minimum, like assuming you get all the right drops and you have the solvent to convert it, I think it takes you 4 weeks just to max out a character's abilities, right? It's like 4 weeks to max out a character's abilities. Probably takes 1 to 2 months. I'm probably understating how many weeks it takes. Think about it this way. If Genshin lets you do the same boss 3 times a week, I think it would take you at minimum like 3 weeks to get all of it done. Maybe I have my numbers wrong, but yeah, if you could do 3 times the same boss, it would be like 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. Not without the crown, you can't. Okay, guys, this is about weekly bosses, not the fucking crowns. I do think crowns are cringe, but level 9 abilities are typically enough for any content.
Just to get your weekly rewards. Why? Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, and Honkai Star Rail all let you farm the same boss multiple times per week. And it's not about making the game easier, it's about removing pointless restrictions. There is no logical reason why you shouldn't be able to fight the same boss 3 times if that's what you need. And let's talk about the interconversion of weekly boss drops. Just give us the materials that we need. The worst part,
I guess that's actually the funniest thing to me too, is why are there 3 separate drops per boss? Why did there need to be 3 separate materials that each boss monster drops? Isn't simply like having one material for the boss monster just fine? Like one material that all the characters from the boss use? It's actually just annoying at this point. It's genuinely just annoying, especially for newer players that don't have solvent.
that we need. The worst part of this whole system, you can kill the boss, spend your resin, and still not get what you need. HSR lets you convert weekly boss drops into materials that you actually need. Genshin, no. You just have to hope that the game blesses you. The fact that you can spend resin and still be at the mercy of the RNG is absurd. You already did the fight. You already burned your resources. Why does Genshin think that you should have to gamble for what you need after that? But let's also talk about the conversion of excess overworld boss drops. Stop hoarding junk. Let's be real. At some point, you probably checked your inventory and realized you have hundreds of useless boss drops collecting dust. They used to be valuable, but now they're just there. Meanwhile, HSR has a system that lets you convert old boss materials into something useful. This prevents resource bloat. You're not stuck with mountains of junk. It lets you actually use your hard-earned materials instead of watching them rot. It's a basic quality of life feature that any game that respects its players' time should have. Genshin, on the other hand, operates like a stingy landlord. You get what they give you, and if you don't like it, too bad, buddy. Remove delegated domains. Stop controlling players.
That last point about, what's it called? Right over here. Let me play this back real fast.
Get what they give you, and if you don't like it, too bad, buddy.
The lack of conversion is kind of insane, because there got to a point, right, especially for the day one players, they were just repeating the same trounce domains over and over and over, and it would just be so ridiculous to see all of those materials pile up, and you actually cannot do anything with them. You could actually run out of characters to level up, and the fact that HSR is coming in with that whole conversion mechanic to actually make it useful, it's just like, why can't there be these modern innovations made in their main game that addresses the biggest audience? Why? It would bring people back. People would be like, oh, they're adding the features that make Honkai Star Rail so much easier to play to Genshin. I might come back and actually start playing it now. I genuinely believe that these are also just features that aren't going to like even get close to like damaging retention or revenue. If you're thinking about it from like the pure corporate angle, how is letting somebody use their useless weekly boss mat materials actually going to impact something like retention or playtime? Genuinely, it's just shit that's absolutely useless in their inventory, and now they can go like, I don't know, progress other areas of their account with all that useless shit. Maybe it's like this idea, there's like an end to Genshin Impact, right? There's like an end. And the end is when you've upgraded every single character, you've leveled up every single thing possible, and they just want to extend that for as long as they possibly can. But when they already have like the endless gear grind of artifacts to keep people going, which is oftentimes where people end up after they've maxed out everything, it's like, well, let them use all the useless shit. Just let them use all the useless shit they have. It's not really that crazy.
Move day-gated domains. Stop controlling players' schedule. Time gating in Genshin Impact is one of the worst offenders, and at this point, there's no justification for it. Imagine this, you finally get the new 5-star you have been saving for, so you go farm their talents and weapons, and then oh wait, it's the wrong day. It only opens on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Well, tough luck, loser. How is Genshin talents and weapon materials locked behind specific days? It's forcing you to log in on the game's terms, not yours. Honkai Star Rail got rid of this. Zenless Zone Zero got rid of this. Hey, don't even mention Bua, bruh. You can farm what you need when you need it. There is no reason why a game that rakes in billions of dollars still forces players to plan their week around talent books.
To me, this is just literally nothing more than greed. Because at this point, this is like Hoyoverse, just like nickel and fucking diming their players to like, ooh, you want to build your character quickly? Well, we're gonna need you to do a couple of resin refreshes, buddy. You're gonna have to resin refresh a couple of times today, because if you don't do it today, you're gonna have to wait 2 more days, bucko. Better get ready to pay up or wait, dumbass. And it's just like, at this point, it just seems like fucking stingy. It genuinely just seems stingy as hell. Because that's the only actual reason I can imagine that they still have it gated by day. They're trying to compel people into spending, like, you know, a couple of their primo gems to refresh their fucking resin. And at that point, it literally is like nickel and diming. It's like having a cart fee at the grocery. If you want to use a cart, oh, you're gonna have to pay like $2, buddy. Otherwise, you're carrying everything with your hands. And it's just like, all right, go fuck yourself. And that's what players know to feel when every other game in the gacha space just lets you fucking farm shit.
It's outdated, unnecessary, and it makes progression way slower than it needs to be. We need a better rerun system because the chronicled banners aren't enough. Let's talk about the reruns, because if you miss a limited character in Genshin, you better be ready to wait a full year or more just to get another shot. Oh, you like Shunher? Yeah, you missed her? Oh, you started playing after her banner? You can't get her? Too?
Go fuck yourself. Same with Ryozli. Ryozli was released November of 2023. He was released in November of 2023, and he has not had a rerun yet. His rerun is in the second phase of the Genshin 5.4 patch. He was released in 4.1. It took a whole version and 2 additional patches for a character to rerun. 1 year and 5 months for a character to rerun. There are people that have like passed away waiting for Ryozli to rerun. I'm 1000% certain of it. They went to the grave knowing their Ryozli was only C0, and all they wanted to do was get him to C1 and complete his kit. But it took 1 year and 5 months for that to happen. It still hasn't happened yet. It's actually insane.
Bah! Her rerun banner is literally the chronicled banners, bro. Like, Genshin's new chronicled banners sound good in theory, but in practice, they rely on standard banner pity, which means they're not a reliable way to get older characters. There's a reason people joke that they'll be in their 30s by the time certain characters get another rerun. And you know how young the player base is, right? The problem isn't just waiting, it's the fact that Genshin makes reruns feel like a lottery. And let's talk about the final one. Permanent events instead of deleting content. Genshin has this fantastic habit of introducing some of its best content and then deleting it forever. Story events, gone. You remember that Meteor event? It was gone for a few years, and then they brought it back after a lot of people complained that that's part of the lore. How about unique minigames? Gone. At this point, entire story arcs have vanished, and if you weren't there when they happened, too bad. Meanwhile, HSR
They have a character called Albedo in Genshin Impact, and his entire story is literally limited events. And the guy is featured in so many different ways. He's like apparently like a prominent figure in Mondstadt. And like, if you just haven't been playing the game since the start of time, you genuinely have no fucking clue who this golden-haired twink is. You actually have no fucking clue who this guy is at all. And it's just, the dude's a 1.0 character. Dude is actually a 1.0 character. The only thing I pray is that Wuwa does something with like Zhang Liao's event. Maybe they make it available like every single equivalent of like the 1.2 patch time frame. I think the fact that he like disappeared along with his basically his entire story quest was like a little bit odd, but I am hoping that they bring it back because the story quest was actually pretty decent. I thought it was a decent time.
When there happened, too bad. Meanwhile, HSR and Ruwa actually keep certain events at permanent content, allowing new players to experience them at their own pace. It is genuinely baffling. Genshin already struggles with feeling empty outside of updates, and their solution is to actively remove things that make the game more interesting. At the end of the day, I want Genshin to improve. I want it to stay at the top. And I mean this genuinely, I do want it to stay at the top. But the reality is, other gacha games, especially Wuthering Waves, are showing what a modern gacha should look like. Are you watching Genshin-kun? Wuthering Waves on Nichan is showing me a good time. If Genshin doesn't start keeping up, it's going to fall behind. And considering how much money this game makes, there is zero excuse for Hoyoverse not to implement these changes. So Hoyoverse, you asked for feedback, here it is. Now do something about it.
Yeah, this is the thing, guys. So many of these suggestions that Glaive is coming forward with here on the amazing date of February 26th, 2025 at time of recording. Pretty much all of these features have been requested since like the early 1.0 version of the game. I said it at the start of the React. That this is just going to be like a little bit of like ancient artifacts, that this is going to be rehashing a lot of the concerns that the player base has had since the launch of the game. And the fact of the matter is, some of the stuff like the Catherine tab, event weapons, stuff like that, maybe a little bit more recent. But the entire, like, last 3/4 of the video, a majority of it, this is all just old shit. This is all literally just old shit that players have been requesting. Points of friction that make the game harder to enjoy, that people have just requested the devs add in, or make easier to do, or make more simple to do. Because managing all this shit is a complete pain in the ass. It's an absolute chore. And the thing is, when it's been asked for this long, and all of these requests have gone ignored, that is where the mindset that Genshin is never going to get better, that Genshin is only going to get worse, comes from. And this is why people get so disillusioned and why people get so upset with the game. Because so many of these things are just small fixes that would improve the experience dramatically, but the devs won't get off their ass to do them. And you have to wonder, is making a tiny sacrifice not worth it to please so many players? Because in a lot of ways, players can't even view or defend how it is a sacrifice for the company to do something. Like, let them throw away or reconvert all of these useless weekly boss masks into something that they can actually use. And it's just stuff like that, all these points of friction that the company refuses to remove, that people are just getting tired with, or have already gotten tired with, and that's why they're quitting this game. And maybe with Wuwa popping off, getting way better, a ton of praise, they'll actually start instituting some of these things. And so let's continue signal boosting this type of content, right? Let's make Genshin great again. And let me know what you think.